The how is not our job. We know that. And I think that this is where a lot of us get stuck, is trying to figure out the how. That we actually become distracted by the process about how we are going to get there. And I think that that's where we put most of our time and our energy trying to figure out the how instead of actually embodying the state of the wish fulfilled. That version of us that is living in prosperity. Consciousness is the one and only reality. So we need to embody prosperity consciousness. And it's not anything outside of ourselves. Consciousness is within ourselves. It's who we are. It's that awareness of being. And so we have to be it in order for it to show up in our reality. Prosperity means different things to different people. First, define what that is. For me, that was feeling financially free. I hated living paycheck to paycheck. I felt like even though my bills were being taken care of, I still felt like I was drowning. I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, but it felt like I wasn't getting ahead. I felt like I should have been further along. It's not a nice place to be in. Now, prosperity, according to the Webster Dictionary, means the condition of being successful or thriving, especially in financial aspects. And it also means good fortune. For me, I like to break down prosperity into levels. So for me, it meant financial prosperity. For me, it also meant the emotional prosperity. That was my relationships with everybody, relationships with my husband, relationships with my children, family, friends, clients. It also meant physical, my health. My health is wealth. And I figured that out in a hurry last summer when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So health, when you get diagnosed with a disease, health becomes your number one priority. Without it, it's everything else just isn't important. It was also prosperity in the mental sense. For me, I love personal development. I love understanding spirituality. So I love to learn. And also, it's the spiritual connection, my connection to source, my connection to God, and the being that I truly am. It's finding and maintaining that connection, which is always there. You can never be disconnected from it, but you can forget that you are connected to it. So I really wanted to strengthen that part of my prosperity as well. What does prosperity look like to you? I learned to understand that prosperity was just a concept. It was an idea, it was a concept, and it was an option that was available. But so is lack. Lack is also an option. Happiness is an option. So is sadness. And so is feeling empowered and feeling disempowered. These are all different states of consciousness that are available to us in every moment, and we get to choose. So prosperity is just a state of consciousness. That's all it is. And I don't want anybody to make it seem bigger than it actually is. Because when we find that we think something's big, it adds a lot of resistance. We don't want that resistance. Our purpose here is to release any resistance. If you truly believe that you are an unlimited being, there is no need for resistance to be there. And we can just let that go. And as we let that resistance go, what ends up happening is that this energy, this life force energy, that is who we truly are, we allow it to flow to us and through us with absolute ease. So that's what I did for 3.5 years. I made it my priority to live in prosperity consciousness and then to release anything that didn't match up to that. That's our work, because the spiritual side of us is unlimited. It's our human side of us, this skin, this flesh, this body, this mind, this human mind. This is the part of us that has all the limitations. So we want to try to harmonize the human side of us with this that has the limitations with the spiritual side of us that has no limitations. We want to lean into the unlimitedness of us. And that will come as we choose it and as we claim it. When you are embodying a state of prosperity, it must objectify in your reality. This is what we're being told. We need to test it. We think that prosperity is out there, when we look at our bank accounts, when we, look at the houses or the cars that we drive, when we go out, we eat in restaurants. We think that our prosperity is out there. We measure our success based on how much we have, all these material things. But that's not what true prosperity is. Because we have to understand that our outer world is just a reflection of the prosperity that we feel inside of ourselves. Our prosperity is not in the outer circumstances. It is within us. It's a feeling. It's an idea. It's an option. It's just a concept. That's all it is. In my last course, which was called the Be Free program, where I encouraged us to just truly live from our authenticity. We learned about the spiritual laws of the universe that exist. And we are basically learning to work with these laws. In particular, with the ones that are really important to understand are the law of vibration. That's who we are being currently in the moment. Who are we being? What are we thinking? How are we acting? What are we feeling? What are we believing? What mood are we in? What attitude are we taking on? That's the vibe of us. And that projects out because we're like a radio receiver that transmits a signal and then receives it back. And as we are receiving it back, that is the law of attraction that's working for us. Basically, we attract who we are being. So if that's the case, if we're always attracting who we're being, then doesn't it make sense that we really need to master ourselves and who we are being in every single moment? If you're feeling prosperous inside and you maintain that state, then prosperity will have no choice but to objectify in your reality. But that state needs to be maintained. It needs to have unwavering faith. We can't play with doubt because doubt will show up. Doubt will show up as fear and anxiety, worry, stress. And those are all states that we don't want to embody. We don't like the feeling of them. So can you guys give yourself permission to let those states go? Yes, you can. So if prosperity is a state of consciousness, what is required of us? What's required is that we need to release all concepts of lack and limitation and replace them with empowering beliefs. Beliefs of prosperity, beliefs about abundance, of all things, not just certain things, of all things. Neville said, never entertain a feeling which does not contribute to your happiness. Never entertain a feeling which does not contribute to your happiness. Some people take that statement a little too far, meaning they think that they want to get rid of these feelings, the feelings of worry and fear. But let me tell you that you will never, ever get rid of these fears because they exist in the universe. So don't try to get rid of them. You'll never be able to. But what we are going to do in mastering ourselves is learning to recognize that fear and then not entertain it. And that's a really important distinction. When people start doing this work, they think, I got to get rid of all this negativity out of my life. And then they resist it, and then it persists. The negative has to be there. Everything exists. Creation is finished. We just need to see it as options. That's it. It can be there, but we don't need to entertain it. We can recognize it and then simply say thank you, but no thank you. He also said, never accept the suggestion of lack. I just wrote a post a couple of days ago about me being with friends, and they were talking about the housing market and the recession that's coming up, and saying that, complaining about prices being too high for homes. And everybody was chiming into that, and everybody was getting so angry and pissed off, and they were disappointed and felt scared for their kids. And I just sat there and I'm like, these people are entertaining that thought. They have no idea that they are the creators of their reality, because they're basically agreeing to it without even realize that they're doing it. They have no self-awareness. They don't understand the rules of the game. Disempowerment of the masses. We here are a very small percentage of the population. And that's why it's important that we all shine our light, because that makes the world a better place. So he says, never accept the suggestion of lack. When my friends were talking about the housing prices, I'm like, no, because what that implies is that my kids are not successful enough being successful, being happy. That's how I'm going to see my kids. I'm not going to see them struggling, not thriving. No way. You're going to be bombarded with thoughts of lack. It is all around us, but so is prosperity. So is thriving. It's all around us too. But it becomes up to us as to which thoughts and feelings to entertain. That's all up to us. So never accept the suggestion of lack. I'm going to come up with a life playbook, and that's going to be one of the rules in the playbooks. Never never accept a suggestion of lack. Okay, so I'm going to share my story. Most of you guys know it because you've been in my programs before, but we do have some new members, so welcome to everybody. Most of you guys know that in 2020, I went to a financial seminar. The gentleman who seminar it was, his name was JT Fox. And that was January 2020. But in October 2019, I had gone to a Tony Robbins event, and JT Fox was one of the speakers there. And I liked that he was a fellow Canadian. He was from Montreal. I'm from the Greater Toronto area. And he was hosting a financial seminar. And I thought, I'm done, living paycheck to paycheck. I'm going to go to this guy's seminar. And in that seminar, he was wonderful. He talked about his story about how he started from basically nothing. He started off feeling like an absolute loser and not successful. And then he built himself up to this multimillionaire. The way that he spoke with such confidence was so inspiring to me. This one statement caught my attention. He said, more millionaires are made in times of crisis than at any other time. That idea wasn't even part of my consciousness. I didn't even realize that that was a thing. And that revealed to me that I was not thinking like a prosperous person, that I was embodying the state of lack. And that's the state that I had been embodying for a very long time. The week after we graduated from college, I found out that I was pregnant. We decided to have the baby. We decided to get married, but we started from nothing. And we actually started our lives in government housing. And we were lucky to get in there so quickly. Our adult lives were started living in government housing, subsidized housing. I did not work. I chose to stay home with my daughter Ashley, and my husband all of a sudden graduates college, and he's left with no savings, providing for now a wife and a newborn baby. And then we didn't learn our lesson, and then we got pregnant again. So now he's got 2 kids and a wife to provide for with no savings, new into the world of employment. So ever since then, we had been living in this lack mentality. It always felt like a struggle. And it wasn't until 5 years ago that we actually decided that, or I decided, because my husband's not into this work, I decided to try these concepts out. I had taken a Bob Proctor course in 2018 called Thinking into Results. So I knew that my thoughts affected my reality. I was also learning about law of attraction since 2009, going on 15 years now. And then in 2020, learned about the law of assumption. So I decided to test it. And in that time, I learned that consciousness is the one and only reality. So who I was conscious of being would objectify in my reality. And then I also learned that we are the operant power of our lives, which basically means that by my thinking, by my believing, that I would experience that in my world. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to test it. And if you get this one thing, that you are the creator of your reality, and by your choices, you can create the life that you want to live. You have everything when you understand that. Everything starts in our imagination. Absolutely everything starts here. We are just simply transmitting the message to God of what we want, but it's all us. We are the steerer, the captain of our ship. It's all us. So we need to train ourselves to go into the imagination first. We want to try to fix everything out there. We don't fix everything out there. When we encounter something that we don't like, the first thing that we need to do is go within and solve the problem within ourselves. And what that entails is, number one, giving up the resistance. For me, what I like to do is I like to say, thank you, God. Please take this off my hands, because you have a bigger overview of everything that I cannot see in this moment. I give it up. I let it go. I release it, because I am currently feeling something that I don't want to feel. I don't want to perpetuate more of this in my reality. And the easiest and fastest way to do that is to just let it go. And letting go takes practice, because we are so emotionally entangled with the things in our lives that we do not need to be emotionally entangled with, but we've been trained that way. So now it's time to train ourselves in a different way, in a more effective way. So we go into the imagination first. We imagine it the way that we want to imagine it here first, within ourselves, in our minds, and in our hearts. Picture it how we want to be. Tune in to the connection that we have with this unlimited source that's available to us. It's always there. We imagine first, solve it within, and then from that point on, we live in faith that it is done. And faith is believing in something that we have no evidence. There's no evidence of seeing it yet. Not in our reality anyways, but perhaps in somebody else's reality. I leaned into other people's stories, the people who they had what I wanted. Instead of being jealous and envious of what they had, and then making myself feel worthless, unworthy of that, thinking it's not possible for me, I let those ideas go and said instead, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. And the only difference between them and me is the way that their mind thinks. And I need to start thinking the way that they're thinking, because that's the only difference between any of us. Neville's first principle is be still and know that I am God. And there is a reason why he calls that his first principle. Like I said before, if you understand that, you have everything. If you knew that, you wouldn't need to know anything else. We don't need to try to figure everything out. We just need to determine what it is that we want and do whatever it takes to embody that state of being. That is our work. We need to convince ourselves within that that's possible for us. And the more that we test it, the more we lean into that belief, the more we maintain that state of consciousness of prosperity, it will objectify. And as it objectifies, you're going to strengthen your belief more and more. We're just going through the fundamentals. Everything that we believe now came from repeating those thoughts. And if those thoughts don't serve us, we need to start replacing those with thoughts that do empower us. And we're going to need to remind ourselves over and over and over again. And this is why what I wanted to do differently about this program, because the other programs that I had, I did a lesson every single day, a different lesson. After I took that 3-month break, I was getting a lot of messages from people that were falling out of the state. They weren't maintaining it. And that's because we didn't have enough time to practice it. Everything is already within you, it's already there, it exists within you. And so, part of this journey for me over the 3.5 years was because I didn't always have a coach, but I did follow the groups. I read every day. I studied every day. I practiced every day. And I basically was self led for most of the time. We need to lead ourselves. We need to understand the power that we are. God doesn't want us to idolize anybody. We idolize so many people, but everybody is on equal playing field. Nobody is better than the other. We just think differently. We believe differently. Everything is already within you, everything is already within me, and we lead ourselves. Okay, so there's going to be that part of integration as well to gain the confidence that you guys can do this. As much as I'd love for you guys to be in my programs forever, that doesn't serve you. I want us to be friends. We are friends here. Okay. I want your prosperity as much as I want my prosperity. And I'm doing this, I'm going to do it anyways. And it's always amazing to have people to do it with, like minded people, people to help keep us accountable. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be stepping into the version of ourselves that we want to be. We're going to practice that feeling. What does that feel like? We're going to make that feeling so familiar to us that we love it so much that that's the state of being that we want to be in all the time, and make it our dominant state. Make it so familiar that when we fall out of that state, we're going to recognize it. We're going to say, I don't like this. I want to get myself to back here. And then we're going to do the work and we're going to get ourselves back to the state that we love. We are going to make that state so familiar to us that we forget about our old state, that we forget about that version of ourselves that we were, because this is us now. I've made this my new normal, and I'm thinking about all the different versions of myself since I was a baby. Then you go through the toddler stage. Then you go through all these different stages, being a teenager, being a young adult, now being an older adult, more wise. But who I am now can't even relate to the state of being that I was when I was a toddler. I can never go back to being in diapers or crawling around now that I know how to walk. I can never, ever, ever go back to that state, nor do I want to. I'm going to embody the new state of being that we are. So much so that we can't even relate to that old state anymore. We're going to recognize that. We're going to increase our awareness, increase our decision-making abilities. We're going to be committed, going to be disciplined with ourselves. We want to love our current state more than we love our old state of being. I want you guys to understand that the blessing of prosperity is already within you, and it's waiting. It's waiting. It's dormant inside of you. It's just waiting and ready for you to choose it and claim it. We're going to allow it to come into our experience. And I want you to know that as soon as you choose it, it is given. It is ready for you. It wants to come to you. That saying, what you seek is seeking you. It's waiting. It wants to be received by you. And as soon as you choose something that you want, which in this case, focusing on our prosperous version of ourselves, it means that when we decide that we want it, that the means for it to come to us has already been determined. That's why we don't need to understand how it's going to come to us. The means has already been determined. So our job becomes to live in faith until it objectivies in our reality. We want to perpetuate the things that we want, let go of the things that we don't want. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. We're going to do a quick drop in. Let's get familiar with the feeling of the prosperous version of ourselves that we are. If you guys can find a comfortable position, either sitting down, lying down, whatever you guys want, and close your eyes and take in a beautiful deep breath, filling your lungs completely, and then exhaling slowly. letting go of any tension that you feel within your body as you breathe out. Allow your body to relax and your mind to become calm. Take in another deep breath all the way down to your stomach area. Feel your abdomen expanding, the same way that a baby breathes deeply in. Now let that breath go, as well as any tension you may feel. This is your time to step into who you truly are. Begin by bringing your attention to the top of your head. Imagine a loving stream of beautiful light energy entering your body and enveloping you. As you make your way down, allow all the muscles in your head to relax, starting at your scalp, then your forehead. Just let it all go and relax. Your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, your chin, and then your neck. Feel any tension in your shoulders and allow it to melt away. Now relax your arms, your hands, your fingers. Let the relaxation spread to your chest, your upper back, your stomach. Remember to breathe deeply and savor that beautiful life force energy. Now move your attention to your lower back and let go of any tension there. Feel your hips relax. Allow this feeling of relaxation to slowly move down your legs into your thighs, your knees, your calves, to your ankles, your feet, and finally your toes. Your whole body is now relaxed and at ease. Focus on your breath. Notice the natural rhythm of your breathing. Feel the rise and the fall of your chest and your abdomen as you inhale and exhale. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring your focus back to your breath. You will have time to deal with those thoughts later. For now, this is your time to connect to your ideal self, to feel how you would feel in your ideal self. Now, in order to rise to the level you wish to be, you must be willing to completely drop the consciousness with which you are now identified. Until your present consciousness is dropped, you will not be able to rise to another level. Letting go of your present identity is not as difficult as it might appear. You are invited in Scripture to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord. The body from which you are invited to escape is your present conception of yourself with all of its limitations, while the Lord, with whom you are to be present, is simply your awareness of being. So take your attention away from your present conceptions and place it on just being. Simply say to yourself silently, but feelingly, I am. Feel into that. I am. Do not condition this awareness, but continue to declare quietly, I am. I am. Over and over again until you feel that you are faceless and formless. And continue doing so until you feel like you are floating. This floating state of consciousness is one of pure receptivity. In this state of consciousness, you are not conscious of being anything but I am. I am. You are only conscious of being. In this formless deep of yourself, all things appear to be divinely possible. I am. When you have achieved this expanded form of consciousness, give form to the new conception of yourself by claiming and feeling yourself to be that which you desire to be. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Allowing it means that there is a firmness or a conviction in the midst of this expanded consciousness by knowing and feeling, I am that. The thing that you desire. I am that. I am. Anything that you sincerely feel yourself to be while you're in this expanded state becomes in time your natural expression. Allow this to be easy. As you claim and feel yourself to be the thing desired, you are crystallizing this formless liquid light that you are into the image and likeness of that which you are conscious of being. I am that. I am. Imagine yourself in a peaceful place. Could be a beach, a forest, a mountain, any place where you feel calm and safe. Picture yourself there, feeling the serenity and tranquility of this place. Take in the sights, the sounds, the smells all around you. Then silently repeat to yourself a positive affirmation. It could be, I am prosperity. I am calm. I am at peace. I am in control of my thoughts and my emotions. Let these positive words resonate with you. When you're ready to come back to the present moment, start by becoming aware of your surroundings. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and gently stretch your body. Take in a deep breath and then slowly open your eyes when you're ready. How was that, guys? This is the I am meditation. So basically, what we're trying to do here is we are trying to connect. That is the version of ourselves that doesn't relate to anything, that doesn't relate to me as Cheryl. It's just me as I am, that I exist. It's not me as Cheryl and the mother to 3 kids and a wife and an entrepreneur and a coach. As a woman, it's not attaching myself to anything, but attaching myself to the being that I am, this unlimited being. And then when we tune into who we are and we recognize that unlimitedness just in itself feels wonderful. And when we connect ourselves to that, then we can start affirming and claiming who we desire to be, not that version of ourselves that currently is living as that person, but as the new version of ourselves, the improved version of ourselves, the version of ourselves that has the desires already. Want us to tune into that connection because that connection is everything. It is infinite. We need to learn to connect to that version of ourselves, our higher self. What does prosperity mean to you? Define that because it's different for all of us. What does it mean to you? What does it look like? And what does it feel like? Define it. We need to have a North Star. We need to have this idea of ourselves and work with that and keep it top of mind